Welcome and thank you all for joining us for this special series of the Crexi Podcast, an insider's look at all things commercial real estate. I'm your host, Ashley Kobovich, Director of Partnerships at Crexi. And this is the Women of Influence series, delivering next-level insights and expertise live from GlobeSt's Multifamily Fall 2024 event. Today, we're thrilled to sit down with Ina Montejo, originator at Pace Loan Group. A little bit about our guest. Ina joined Pace Loan Group in 2023 as an originator, where she is responsible for loan origination, loan underwriting, and closing. Prior to joining PLG, Ina held a similar position for Twain Financial Partners, as well as various positions in commercial real estate at MG Properties and Swift Real Estate Partners. She serves as the chair for Crew San Diego's Emerging Leaders and is also a member of ULI San Diego and NAIOP San Diego. Ina graduated magna cum laude with a Bachelor's of Business Administration in Marketing and Real Estate from the University of San Diego. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're thrilled to sit down with you today. I know we give our listeners a little bit of a dive into your background, but in your own words, tell us how you got started in commercial real estate and give us a general overview of who you are.
Yeah, so originally from the Bay Area, Palo Alto specifically, but moved down to San Diego for college and just stayed there ever since. How can you leave? And so I kind of got into commercial real estate actually kind of by chance. USD offers a real estate program, and I just took numerous real estate classes. It became a minor, but then, went over to college counselors, and she literally was like, you are one class away from it being a double major. And I was like, okay, why not just double major? And landed a few internship roles, and then now here I am sticking with it.
I love that. Okay, so kind of tripped and fell into it.
100%.
Good to
was
hear.
not planned.
Not planned. Okay, amazing. What have been some of the biggest achievements that you've gotten to experience so far in your career?
I think a few achievements is just one, being in the industry in of itself and being here. It has definitely been a journey getting here, and it's continuously being a journey. One thing that I've actually been super proud of is coming to these conferences and entering a room and you see some familiar faces, or whether that's receiving an attendee list and you're like, oh, I know that person, and beginning to name drop here and there. And it kind of just tangibly shows that what you're putting in, you're getting out of.
Sure.
And I think with real estate, it's just such a slow process. It's not one that happens overnight. And seeing that form day by day, I think is one of the best achievements one can have in this industry.
Absolutely. Extremely well said. I think that networking is a really big deal, and just knowing and feeling confident, okay, I know this face or I know this name, I'm making it and I'm putting in the work and doing the things and just keep showing up every day.
100%. Yep. Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's a journey, right? Everything is. Tell us a little bit about maybe a favorite mistake or a big lesson that you've learned early on that has stuck with you and shaped who you are or your career.
Oh man, a favorite mistake. Let's see. I think one time I was on a lender call with a brokerage firm, and there was a question that came about, and I referenced a specific deal to answer that question. And I mean, you can always say, I don't know, but I'll get back with you. But that was too good of a reference that too many questions came out of it. And I figured out, I was like, wait a second, I don't know too much about this deal. I should not have referenced this deal. I probably know one thing about this deal, where it was located and how it came about. But other than that, it was a lender call, so a lot more financial ratios came out, financial metrics came out. And I kind of took a step back after that. I got off the call and I was like, wow, I probably looked really dumb during that call after that question. And ever since then, I have just overly prepared any deals I may come about or use an example from there on out. I was like, okay, not only, where is it located, but How did it come about? What was the financial metrics? What was the problem that we kind of had to address to, which is why they partly came about with using CPACE, which is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that. I think being prepared is super key. So,
yeah.
Good lesson to learn
good
early
lesson
on.
to learn for sure.
Right?
Ever since then, I'm like, okay, there's 3 deals. I will come into this call, and what are those 3 deals? I better know it front and back.
Good. I love that. Any daily practices that you do, whether it's in your day-to-day, setting goals for yourself, or outside yoga meditation that you do to make you successful and the best version of yourself?
Definitely lots of workout classes. I'm a big workout girl. Class pass, love to death.
Shout out.
And
unpaid sponsorship.
Seriously, unpaid sponsor, unpaid ad.
Get on her.
But I do a lot of yoga classes, yoga sculpt, a lot of indoor cycling. Kind of that's on the fitness side of things to, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, the to-do list. I'm a big list person. There's something about crossing that next, checkbox and like, okay, done. And I think it helps me get through today of it helps you put on the right step.
Sure.
As soon as you get up, you're like, okay, what do I tackle today? And so those are kind of the day-to-day things that I kind of do.
I love that. Do you do your list the night before or the morning of?
The night before.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a night before girl.
Yes, I love that.
Sunday evening, my colleagues probably will think I'm crazy, but Sunday afternoon, right before dinner time, that is like I take 1 to 2 hours. It's so mindless, but it just helps you for the week to come. Little to-do list of what is to do on Monday, and then kind of the same goes for the next day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. Always going back to that first lesson, be prepared,
Right?
right?
Exactly.
Prepare yourself. I love to hear it. So diving in, we are at the GlobeSt Multifamily Conference. So what trends are you currently seeing in the multifamily space or commercial real estate at large right now?
I think for multifamily specifically, we're seeing a lot more sponsors and developers have some sort of live, work, play as part of their strategy in retaining tenants. And you'll see, even as a tenant myself, I'll see a few of my friends have their, apartment complexes, and they'll have cooking classes and they'll have painting classes, some trivia nights. And I think more and more developers are seeing the value in that because tenants will likely, sign the lease again. And that's really where they get a lot of their dollars and their profit out of. And so I think we're seeing that kind of value proposition more. On the commercial real estate at large, being a lender myself, and especially being on the specialty financing. I'm not sure how familiar you are with CPACE, but it's really a specialty financing tool that is attached to energy-related improvements on the project, but that is attached to heavy CapEx like, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. But it is definitely a specialty financing product, and in this kind of market, we're seeing a lot more of developers and brokers use more creative financing tools versus just your typical, bank debt from your regional bank. And so now they're really taking into consideration, okay, what other financing tools are out there and how can we use that to leverage, the capital stack and things like that.
Really, really good insight. And I would agree with you. A lot of people want those experiences and things like that. So interesting thoughts. Going on to, I think you just touched on like some technologies and things. Are there tech that you're seeing emerge in this space, or maybe something that you're looking forward to in terms of innovation?
Not necessarily a tech that I see emerging, but we can go to the creative financing tech more to say. I think the creative financing tool is what's emerging. Like CPACE, it used to be this product where it was like, what is that? Like, what the heck is that? And then now it's still a, what the heck is that? But like, because I'm hearing it so much more. And I like to say that, yes, I'm an originator, but at the same time, I think really my day-to-day job is like educating both lenders and brokers and developers themselves on what this product is and how to use it. And I think year over year, that trend towards using more creative financing tools will grow by popularity.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, good. Well, you're fighting the good fight out there.
Yeah. Definitely not an easy job, but well worthwhile.
Of course.
Especially with the ESG components of developers wanting that and putting that into more, especially the larger corporations, they want more ESG and sustainability measures in their buildings, in their just everything at large, using CPACE to cover that sort of that sort of value and that core value that they have. I think it meshes really well together.
Yeah, amazing. So coming in, leadership and mentorship is obviously really big. As a young woman in commercial real estate doing all of this, give us a little insight into maybe a biggest mentor that you had or a favorite one, maybe some lessons that they taught you.
Definitely have a few mentors out there, but one comes to mind was my previous boss, if I say. She's also 100% a girl boss. She was my previous kind of direct contact, and she is really how I got started on the originations front, on the debt side. I used to be more on the GP side, and now I like to call it went over to the dark side. And so she has really been a mentor to me, more like a sponsor. And she is, I still call her to this day. Yes, she was my previous boss, but now she's still my boss on both the personal and professional world. And she's kind of one that comes to mind. And there's some other few out there that I go to on a personal basis, just asking like, hey, I'm in this kind of pickle, I'm in this situation, how would you address this? I mean, being pretty young still in the industry, it's nice to have other women in the industry who has kind of went through the same thing and they can really be empathetic about the situation.
Sure. Yeah. What tips would you give to either younger folks, women, even older folks sometimes that don't necessarily like to come out of their shell or network? Obviously, it's a really big thing. You mentioned just knowing familiar faces. So obviously you're doing it and you're putting in that work. What tips or advice would you give to people who it might not be necessarily their biggest comfort doing things like this?
I think that if there's one word to take out is, or rather 3 words, find a buddy.
Oh, okay.
But that has really helped me a lot because it just exponentially grows. I mean, that person knows another person, and then that's just how you would grow your network. And so that's helped me a lot. And joining industry organizations, whether that's CREW, NAIOP, ULI, really, there's so many out there, but just joining those. And it may seem really daunting, and it still is really daunting. I mean, I think it's still really daunting. But yes, again,
you're making it look easy.
Oh gosh, please. Well, I'm doing my job then.
Good.
But I think finding a buddy, going into a room, it's much easier to tackle that space, that room. And I would always say it's really tough, and you might be drained after, a huge work day, and now the last thing you want to do is go to another social event. But it's really the key to just having more of those connections and building the relationships. I mean, real estate is really, you're in it for the long run. You won't see it overnight, but you'll see the conversions maybe a year, 6 to 12 months down the line. So yeah, find a buddy, join the industry orgs, go to those networking events, would really help a lot.
Yes, absolutely. I love that bit of advice. So you mentioned a couple of different organizations, CREW, NAOP, et cetera. Give our listeners who maybe don't know just an overview of that, and then maybe any programs that are aimed at supporting women in real estate, and let us know what you're doing.
So there's a lot out there, and I think I'm seeing it grow more, especially like women, empowerment, women focused in the industry. CREW is commercial real estate for women, so it is in the name. It specializes for women. I mean, there's men's out there as well, but and I'm a chair for emerging leaders, so it really focuses on folks that are 0 to 10 years in the industry. And so again, that was kind of how it was really. It was much easier to go into these networking events because I picked one buddy, 2 buddies, and I became best friends with them. And we would go in together with networking events, and then we just kind of like tackle it. And ULI and NAOP, there are other industry organizations with developers and both brokers, and they in each of itself have like women-centered stuff as well, and like women in leadership. And so those are really good kind of sub-organizations within the larger organization up front to be a part of.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, you just got to join them.
Yep.
It's, you just got to do it.
Yes.
How do you think the commercial real estate industry can improve in terms of diversity and inclusion? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, no, good question. I mean, starting out definitely with those subgroups within the larger group is a good starting point. Podcasts like this is another good starting point. I think just getting women more in the industry is really imperative, not only in just the commercial, I mean, working in commercial real estate and also in the finance. I mean, those are like 2 very male dominated industries already. And so coming into it and just seeing more women be in that space, whether that's, again, from this podcast, from the industry, just knowing what it is and that it's out there, would really, like, I think be imperative towards like future generations. Yeah. It's always nice to see another gal in the room.
It is.
I can count with probably my one hand sometimes walking to a room, and I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, I'm one of 3. But use that to your advantage. Don't use it to, put you in a corner. I mean,
sure.
I heard this quote one time, and I might be going in tangent here, but I heard this quote one time, and it was basically use your difference to your advantage. And and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, okay, if I'm entering a space, I'm the only maybe 1 of 5, 1 in 10 women in that space, but that already gives you an advantage because eyes are already on you. So that's not, so you're already like a differentiator there. You're not the guy in the blue suit. You're the girl who's coming in
out
and
already.
you're standing out.
Yeah.
And so, okay, how do you use that? Go introduce yourself. Now you got to get out of your shell, but use that to your advantage. And it's an easier, like almost easier entrance barrier.
I love that. Reframing the narrative, right?
Exactly.
It's not, it's not a negative thing. Use it as a positive thing, using that to your advantage.
Exactly.
I really love to hear that. Thanks for sharing that tidbit with
course.
us. For your own personal aspirations, goals, where do you see yourself in the future? What do you see yourself doing, commercial real estate wise or otherwise?
Definitely, I love the space I'm in. And it's a very niche space, and it's, again, a very specialized type of financing. But I think it's one that will grow more and more. It's really a chameleon, honestly. It works in a high interest rate environment. It works in a low interest rate environment. And especially with the push for ESG and more sustainability measures, it's a good use of a financing tool to cover those, more sustainable measures. And so personal goal is explain it more, be out there more, advocate for what CPACE stands for and how it really can help not only the values, but also it blends cost of capital. That's the name of the game here. I mean, it's a lower interest rate than a debt fund who's probably at 12 to 14%, and our money is at like maybe like 7s. And so I'm like, come on now, like, let's see it.
So you're here to stay is what you're telling
yes,
us.
100%. I'm not going anywhere.
Good. Well, we love that. You've said a lot. You've shared a lot with us today. A lot of good insights. If you were to give advice to your younger self getting into this industry, what would you say?
Keep chugging along. It's a no is, let me rephrase that. Compartmentalize, actually, would probably be one of the, it's so easy to dwell on the no's or what happened at the start of your day, but you can't just let it affect the rest of your day. And that's still something I'm working on. And I think coming into this industry, you'll receive a lot more no's than yes. And that's okay. But knowing how to take the no's and knowing how to take that negativity, but not letting it affect kind of the rest of your day and the rest of, or whether that's the rest of your deal, the rest of the conversation. I think you have the power to reframe that. And you're like, okay, am I going to let it affect from 8 to 8:30, or am I going to let that affect from 8 through 8 p.m.?
Yep.
So that's kind of your choice. And I've definitely been on both sides of the spectrum for that.
That is so important. And I love that you said that. I mean, I think that there was something that I was listening to recently, and it was like, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to be sad about this.
Oh, I know.
Or,
yes.
And then I'm going to, learn from it, figure it out, and move on with the rest of my day.
The 10-minute sulk.
Yeah. A 10-minute sulk, and then figure out all of our next steps.
Exactly.
So really, really important. I love the reframing of the narrative again that we're talking about, and then just that resilience, because it's really needed, not just in this industry, but just in life. So
agreed.
Really appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know you're very busy. If any of our listeners want to reach out, get in touch, how can they find you?
Yeah, no, you can go over to paceloangroup.com. My info is over there. Email and my phone number is on our website. And yeah, feel free to email me, reach out. Would love to chat, whether that's personal or professionally.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much again for your time. Really, really appreciate it. Of course. And thanks for all of you for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, do not miss the next one. Visit Crexi.com/podcast and sign up to get the next episode delivered straight to your inbox. Of course, you can also subscribe to the Crexi Podcast on your favorite podcast app and check out our YouTube channel for video recordings of each episode. Take care and be sure to tune in next time.